Alright guys, welcome back to the Music City Kartplex. Last time we were here we had the rental kart racing league going on, and 6 weeks of fun, and we had so much fun doing that. We went out and got a couple of these Tillotson T4 karts, and we're going to start to race these Tillotsons at the Music City Kartplex. We had one race a couple of weeks ago, just kind of getting our feet wet and feeling them out, and so we're coming back out today to try a few different setups, maybe see if we can find an optimal setup for the kart. It's all about trial and error. So we're going to go out today and just do some practice runs and see how we've done with the setup and make some tweaks and try to find some time here. And goal is have a lot of fun, but also be competitive. So we're going to come out here and spin a few laps around the track. Beautiful day, sun is shining. It's about 80 degrees, perfect day for karting. Got the track to ourselves today. You can see there's been a little bit of rain on the left there. You get a little bit of a mud puddle right on that corner, as well as this one up here on the left side where that barrier is. So you get a little bit of some dirt or dust that remains on the track after the rain. Track's a little green, but sun's shining. It's warming up quickly. No rental karts out right now. Wednesdays, they put the owners out and give us time to run a track without rental karts. And that's what we're doing today. We got out pretty early, and we're going to run the track a few times, and we have the track all to ourselves. So first couple laps, just warming up the tires, finishing up the second lap here. Run the first lap about 50%. This lap will go about 75%, and then from there on out, we're going to start running some time trials around the track and see if we can get some time set. See where we are with our setup. Here comes the start-finish line. Turn one here, got a couple little bumps. Tires are starting to get a little grippy, you can hear them squealing. We're running the back straight today. We're running counterclockwise, which is I don't know if you call it normal direction, but it's the general direction they run this track. They're going to run it for this direction, the next race coming up on the September 20th, so that's what we're practicing today. Finish up the third lap here. Tires are coming into it. Tire pressure is another big consideration for these karts. We're trying to find that perfect tire pressure for the temperatures and the track conditions, and we're starting to zero in on a little bit. We're getting a little more precise with our tire pressures, and it does take 3 or 4 laps for these tires to warm up and get that tire pressure to increase a little bit. You can see James just passing off the left there. He's right behind me coming out. I'm going to run a few laps here and get the tires warmed up and start finding my line, seeing how the kart's doing, and then we're going to fall behind James and watch him for a few laps and see what his lines look like, see what his kart looks like, and we're going to compare the data. The rental karts run this circuit in about 44-45 seconds. These Tillotsons just a little bit faster, a little lighter, and we're running laps times around about 38 seconds right now. We're going to get them down by the end of the day. We got down to 36 seconds, so about 36.1 I think is what James had on his fastest lap. I think I got down to 36.4, 5, somewhere in there. Alright, we start another lap. You can see the kart bounces over those bumps. You can see where those bumps are where the rubber is darker. Starting to find those good lines. A little wide on that one. Just checking the camera, make sure it's still secure. It's a new camera mount for me on this Tillotson, so it's hanging in there pretty good. Find the apex nice on that corner, but it puts a little bit of dust on the tires. You can see that on the left-hand side there, and right there as well. Run a little bit higher tooth gearing on my kart than James is on his, so I'm getting a little more acceleration out of the corners, but he's getting a little more top speed on the straights. So we're trying to figure out, compare the two, what's more optimized for this track, this setup, for our driving styles. I certainly have a little more acceleration out of the corners, but he definitely has 3 or 4 miles an hour on the straights on me, so seems to be pretty balanced. He's able to catch me on these straights, but I'm able to catch him in the corners. So seems to trade off. Just whatever your driving style is, I guess, and where you prefer to run in traffic and maybe do some passing is what gearing you should run. He's running a 77. I'm running a 79 tooth. Front tooth is 19. Another thing we're working on these on this track day is clutch springs. So we're trying to figure out what is the optimal clutch springs. They have white and black springs. White or call them weaker springs. They're lighter springs. The black ones are heavier springs. The heavier springs, it's a centrifugal clutch, so as the more the black springs will resist that centrifugal force a little more, and it increases the RPM at which the clutch engages at, so you're a little higher in the power band. And the white springs are weaker springs. They allow the clutch to engage earlier. And we've actually gone, this for me, I have 2 whites, 2 blacks on the cart right now. James is running 4 whites. Later on we're going to switch over to the black springs. It seems to be a little faster with the black springs in it, so that's what we're going to be running from here on out. Actually picked up about a half-second lap time when we put those heavier springs in the clutch. Tire pressures, we've heard everything from 9 PSI all the way up to 18 PSI on these tires. We're running somewhere right in the middle of that, and it seems to be working out pretty good for us. I know some people like running way on the top end at 18 PSI, and we had some guys come up from Florida that were the Tillotson distributors, and they're running closer to 9 or 10 PSI. So we've run the whole range, and we found somewhere right in the middle there is optimal for our carts. Alright, so I'm going to pull off the line here. I'm going to let James come by. I want to watch his line. I want to watch his cart and see how it's performing. At this point in the day, I have a wider front end than he does. My rear end is not as wide as his, so kind of a little bit different in the setup. And I want to see how his cart is performing. And I want to see how his gearing is doing as well. So you can see he kind of pulls away a little bit on that straight. But the further along we get in these corners, the closer I can get to him. He had a pretty narrow front end, and he had a real wide back end on the axle, so he was a little bit loose on that turn 10 coming onto the straight, and we ended up widening up his front end, and that seemed to help with that problem. So that, along with the clutch springs and tire pressures, we found, I think James found 1.3 seconds on the lap time today, so we've made some improvements. Increase our competitiveness for the race that's coming up here on the 20th. And that's the name of the game. Have fun, be competitive. The Tillotson is a spec cart. Really the only changes you can make to it are the setup. You have to run the equipment as is on the cart. Tires as is. You have to run the Maxxis tires. They're a little harder compound than what the LO206 series runs. They do have more horsepower, but much harder, more slippery tire. So it kind of evens out, maybe running a second or two lap time faster than the LO206 series. And what this spec series is all about is trying to keep the cost low, barrier to entry, keep that low, so everybody can come out and have fun racing these karts. And so far we're having a blast with them. We really enjoy it. If you're interested in these Tillotson carts, Music City Kartplex does have a rental Tillotson, so you can come out and take it out for a few laps in the Music City Kartplex. It's a lot of fun. That's what I did before I purchased this kart. And I did buy this kart through the Music City Kartplex, and they ordered it, had it delivered, and assembled it, and kind of ran me through some of the maintenance, routine maintenance you're going to have to do these karts. And they're there as assistants. They're my part supplier as well. It's a great resource. We keep them there in one of their garages, and it makes it really nice and easy just to come on out, pull the kart out, tweak it a little bit, and run around the track. As you can see, we're matched pretty closely on these laps. And as I get close on the final turn, I can catch him, and in the straightaway he kind of pulls away from me. That's that gearing. Alright, so we ran about 12 or 13 laps, and we're coming in. We're going to change a few things up and tweak them a little bit more. And like we said, over the whole day, we ran about 4 or 5 times, and we were able to find about 1.3, 1.4 seconds of lap time for James. I think I found about a second of lap time on mine as well. So we're doing good. We're finding time. We're being more competitive, and we're having a ball doing it.